I'm in the mood to see some aliens. What about you guys? Let's see the best pictures of aliens that I could find on the spur of the moment. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, this is from the very well-known case from Turkey in 2007. A guy saw a giant UFO with a window in it, and he snapped a photo, and some people later enhanced the footage, the image, and were able to pick out these two figures in the window. Now, why does a UFO have a window? I don't know. When you hear experiencer accounts that go into these ships, they'll often say, the walls can just, fade away and a window will appear. So they don't seem to need like some sort of glass or pseudo glass window, but for whatever reason, windows often appear in UFO accounts, and sometimes beings will appear in these windows. And, my thinking is they want to be seen because, like I said, they could make these walls opaque if they wanted to, I believe. Anyway, whatever the case may be on that, these guys were seen, and here's what they look like. Is that a gray? I mean, it looks a lot like a gray. I mean, a lot of these beings seem to be subspecies of grays or spin-offs of grays or very similar to grays in general size and shape. So, I don't know, but it sure looks an awful lot like a gray. What do you guys think? What is that being? This encounter has never been successfully debunked, and in fact, a lot of evidence supports this encounter as authentic. This seems to be a genuine picture of a being, or this is what it wanted the camera to see. Maybe it gave a false image of itself. I think they probably have that ability, but whatever, this is probably a real alien or non-human being. I mean, I hate to say alien because that seems to suggest to me that it exists. It came from another planet in our reality. A lot of these guys seem to come from maybe a different reality, a different dimension, whatever. In any case, super interesting. So let's go to our next picture of a non-human. All right, it really pains me to show this picture. I almost hate to show this picture because it comes from Stephen Greer. Yes, the lovely Dr. Stephen Greer. But that's why I can't discount Stephen Greer. I, am so annoyed with his, not even just annoyed. That's too mild. I mean, he spreads disinformation in poison among the UFO community. So I'm not even sure that he's done more good than harm. In fact, I think it's likely that he's doing more harm than good. However, I think that him initiating the CE5 initiative, human-initiated contact with the beings, may be our best way forward, maybe our only way forward, since we can't trust the government to actually disclose anything. And I think that him popularizing human-initiated contact is super, super important. And he is very successful in his own CE5 efforts. And he's able to capture beings on camera. And I think that's just amazing. And he can do this repeatedly, regularly. He charges people thousands of dollars for it. Of course, occasionally some flares will drop and he'll take credit for it. And he's happy to scoop up the thousands of dollars for the flares. But he often is able to have genuine contact with beings. And this is one of the beings. And, like I just said, a lot of these beings seem to come from elsewhere. And I don't mean another planet. I mean, in the words of Whitley Strieber and Deep Prasad, the famous quantum computer guru, both of whom are contactees, when they are abducted, they say they are taken to a deeper level of reality, which is what many other experiencers report in their own words. Whether that's a higher dimension or alternate reality, I don't know. But this guy doesn't look like he came from Venus or the Pleiades, right? he looks like he came from another dimension. And, you know, I don't want to give Stephen Greer too much credit. I've been to 2 CE5s, and we had contact both times. And the first time, we were dealing with more extra-dimensional beings that may or may not have looked something like this. But we didn't have cameras set up. We're not as sophisticated as Stephen Greer. So kudos to him for being able to get this image. And he's also got other images. I want to say this is from his movie Unacknowledged, half of which is anti-Lou Elizondo propaganda and disinformation about alien abductions. But the other half of it is some really solid stuff with some cool stuff like that. So our next encounter, Skinny Bob. I've already done a full video on Skinny Bob. Skinny Bob is an interesting case. This is probably the most iffy of the pictures I'm going to show you. And, there's video. And again, I've done a full video on it. There's a long analysis that a guy on the internet did of the Skinny Bob footage. And his conclusion was that it's hard to debunk. If this is fake, somebody spent a lot of money making this footage for no apparent gain. If it was disinformation, it would have been widely disseminated, but it wasn't. It was just kind of plopped up on the internet, and, the faithful found it and have analyzed it, and some of them have taken it to heart. The person that put it on the internet applied a grained filter to it to make it look older than it probably is, which is interesting. And many people think that itself is a sign that it is a hoax. And, it could be. It could be. But again, if it's a hoax, they spend a lot of time and money on it for no particular gain, unless they just got a kick out of doing that. But again, it's a huge investment to get a kick. So I tend to think that Skinny Bob I'm on the fence, but I'm leaning towards Skinny Bob being real. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, yeah, and I would be remiss if I didn't show Patty. The most famous of the Bigfoots, female Bigfoot, and, our first real picture of Bigfoot. There have been other pictures and other videos since then, and I said picture, but obviously Patty is from a video, and this is the enhanced colorized version of it, and I think that Patty is likely a real Bigfoot. There is a gentleman who claims to have been in the Bigfoot suit, and he actually did a demonstration for reporters some years ago, and he's got the walk. I mean, he walks just like Patty. I mean, I can totally see him in a suit walking like this, but he donned the exact sort of suit that he said he wore. It didn't look anything like Patty. I mean, it looked like a guy in a fake suit. Patty looks real. Even her muscles move when she flexes. She's got an abscess on her heel, on the base of her leg. I don't think that would be included in a faked suit. So I think Patty's real. Bigfoot's real. It's interesting. I came across a Bigfoot documentary the other day that said that Bigfoot researchers, if they're open to the more supernatural, paranormal, other dimensional aspects of the phenomenon, they will get those reports of Bigfoot, of the more, quantum Bigfoot. That was the title of one novel, or one book, not a novel. The more esoteric Bigfoots, because a lot of the lore suggests that Bigfoot is more phantasmal, or at least as phantasmal as flesh and blood. I think, well, I'm not going to go into my whole Bigfoot theory right now, but I think that may be a solution to the silo of information problem that I keep on mentioning. So the researchers that were prone to thinking in the more mystical, terms got those reports of more mystical Bigfoot. People that wanted a more flesh and blood Bigfoot, that's just a lost primate somewhere, would get those reports. So it's like the phenomenon filters itself to you. I think that's super fascinating. I think that is likely true. And, of course, other things can intrude, but I think that is super fascinating. Anyway, according to David Paulides. David Paulides, famous missing 411 guy. Well, he actually did a genetic analysis of Bigfoot. They got some hairs and some DNA on the end of those hairs, and they analyzed them in a crime lab, I believe, and they determined that Bigfoot may have been a human-alien hybrid. That is, half of Bigfoot's genes, according to David Paulides' crime lab, were human. The other half were unknown. So what does that mean? Did maybe humans mate with some sort of primate in the distant past or in some alternate reality, creating a new species? Maybe. Or maybe they were created beings by the beings. They seem to have created multiple different types of hybrids. So why not a Bigfoot? There are many encounters, many witnesses who have encountered Bigfoot with the beings, with the non-humans, some aboard ship, some outside of ships. So I think it's very likely that Bigfoot was created by those guys. But that's just a guess. That's just a guess. Let me know what you think in the comments below. All right, next. Yeah, the Men in Black. The Men in Black. I love the Men in Black. Actually, I don't love the Men in Black, but it's a fun idea. Yeah, because the Men in Black are real, and they are no fooling, and they are scary. And this is one of the only known images of actual Men in Black. And this is taken from a security video where these guys were going about their Men in Black business, intimidating and hushing people up and seizing evidence, whatever they were doing. Now, I include this because many reports of Men in Black show that some of these guys are non-human, very clearly non-human. And some of them do seem to be human. These two gentlemen here, I don't know. But I think it's likely that these guys are not what they look like. So these are the Men in Black that are very possibly non-human or maybe human hybrids, just like potentially Bigfoot. So let's see. And then we've got the Coneheads. We've got the Coneheads, that's right, of South America, which these strange beings with these enlarged heads. And again, I refer you to the other big-headed beings that we've seen. This is just common for a lot of these guys. Maybe they're just smarter than we are. Now, there is some skull binding that goes on in some cultures that is probably trying to emulate what these guys are. But the real Coneheads have a cranial capacity much larger or somewhat larger than a human. The people that have the bindings that artificially elongate their skulls do not. You can't make your brain bigger by binding your head. So the ones that actually have bigger brains are not human. What are they? Are they hybrids? Are they aliens? I don't know what they are, but they seem to have been revered in certain cultures, particularly in South America, as higher beings. And, again, there's other cultures that, would emulate these guys by binding their own heads. So, very, very likely these are non-humans, or at least human hybrids. And what happened to these guys? Did they go back to their planet after they were done raising up these cultures, or just, disseminating knowledge and civilization, if that's what they did? Let me know your thoughts. What became of the Coneheads? Okay, moving on to our next story, our next alien. Oh my God, yes, it is a Nordic. This is Orthon. Now, this is controversial because this is from the George Adamski story. And George Adamski is a really interesting cat. He went to Tibet for a few years. He came back. He founded a Tibetan philosophical order. He got into astronomy and UFOs. He was a photographer, and at one point, I guess he was felt a call to go out and take some pictures and interact with some beings, as many experiencers do. And he snapped some photos, and he had two cameras with him. And in one camera, he snapped a famous picture of a UFO that was, I think, distributed by the newspapers and helped make him famous. And he wrote books and went on tours and said a lot of things that were probably BS. And because a lot of his story has been roundly debunked. I mean, really. I mean, if you look into the research, I mean, I don't want to bash on anybody. I'm not bashing on George Adamski. Like I said, I think he's an interesting cat, and I think he had a genuine encounter, at least this first occasion. The story is he went out with some friends. I think they were of that Tibetan philosophical order, but I could be wrong. And to be fair, one of these guys recounted his story later, but the others have not. So they went out, they saw a UFO, it got chased off by military jets. And this was before this was common knowledge that these military jets were chasing UFOs off. And now people in the know that this is a thing. Sometimes they will escort these ships, seeming to work with them. Sometimes they will shoot at them and chase them off. So in any case, they chased one UFO off. There was another giant cigar-shaped UFO in the sky, and there's actually a picture of it. So, but I'll get to that. So yeah, so he snapped some pictures with the one camera. He also snapped some pictures with the second camera, but he never published those pictures. And a lot of them were just like rocks and things. Just not super exciting stuff, right? And that's one of his UFOs. And I'll give you the link to this really cool documentary that this gentleman did analyzing this stuff in a very impartial, neutral way. And and the three lobes on the bottom of the saucer fits the pattern that we've seen and that Bob Lazar talked about. How these are the anti-grav units and they can move. And in the actual video, the 6-second video George Adamski took, you can see one of those nodes rotate. So again, I think that is legit. Anyway, but you can see this is the rocky terrain that he was filming, and then leading up to that encounter with the being. So they were able to, some UFO researchers were able to get the negatives a few years ago to this second camera. Again, he had never published the photos from that second camera, and they tweaked it and enhanced it. And there's a little blob coming over one of the mounds, and they tweaked and enhanced that blob. And it's Orthon. It's military jets chase off one ship. Another ship comes down, presumably from the big the cigar-shaped ship. It lands. A being approaches George Adamski, and it is a blonde, beautiful Nordic being. I think it's described as having more Mediterranean features, which is interesting. So in any case, George has always called this being Orthon. I don't think that was the name he was given, and they communicated and etc. And I was never quite sure what to do with that story, but these recent ufologists who have enhanced this footage were able to tweak the footage enough to bring this being out, and this seems to be Orthon. This is, as far as I know, the best photo of a Nordic, maybe the only photo of a Nordic that I'm aware of. If you're aware of any, let me know. So, George Adamski, his career went on. He became famous. He was the biggest celebrity in UFOs for many years. And I think a lot of what he said after this point was BS. He built on this event to create a platform for himself, and he, was able to use that to get out his own particular philosophies. And, you know, he was a capitalist and he had some philosophies to get out. So, okay. But I do think his initial encounter was legit. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Is this a real picture of a Nordic being? Okay, last one. This is actually going to be a video. This is a fun one. This is the Fresno Nightcrawler. It was actually captured on a few different security cams. But here is one, and this isn't a picture. I mean, it is obviously a still, but I'm going to play the video because that's the only way you can see this creepy, fun little guy in action. And just moving like a little wisp. Two of them. Yeah, and this is this being, or this type of being, has been captured on a few different security cams of that era, which is interesting. Yeah, look how he moves. Look how he moves. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. I think that is a legit image of a non-human. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Anyway, that has been my the best images of non-humans that I could scare up on short notice. I was just in the mood for some aliens, and I wanted to share that with you. Let me know what you think. Which is the most compelling to you? Which is the least compelling to you? And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the link, the bell to be notified of future videos. There are, and join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below, of course. I would love it if you would join me there. And if you could share this video on social media, that would be super helpful. There are plenty of other videos for you to check out on the channel. And until next time, this is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.